And joining us now to help us recap and discuss the major takeaways from President Trump's speech is a member of Trump's personal legal team, Jordan Sekulow. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us. Let's just start with your opinion of the speech yesterday.
I thought it was a great opportunity for President Trump, who has been silenced, unfortunately, by social media, to come back out to speak to the country, but most importantly to his supporters and to people who are looking towards the future, as he is in his speech. As he kind of said, you know, we could have all kind of said, well, we tried this outsider approach. We tried to drain the swamp. And the swamp was after us the entire time. They started before he even took the oath, and they came after him with Mueller. Then it was impeachment 1, then impeachment 2, and then of course with what happened with the election, wherever you stand on that. And then did the swamp win? But instead, President Trump and the people you saw at CPAC and a lot more people across the country are saying, no, we just got started, and it's going to take it's going to take battles to drain that swamp to as outsiders. Even those of us like with the ACLJ, where we've been working in Washington a long time, we're not the insiders. We are not the establishment. And we finally felt like we had some control, and we got a whole lot done in 4 years, but not everything. So we could have said, oh, we're never going to be able to do this, and kind of laid down. Instead, what you're seeing is the movement continue. And ultimately, President Trump is leading that movement into certainly the midterm elections. And then I think we'll have a decision about what he does next.
Jordan, let me ask you about, there was one point in the speech at which the president, the former president, reached out to Joe Biden directly and said, open the schools up, or something to that effect. Yep. And I was curious, I think that was the only topic he actually did that in, and it was kind of a challenge. Does he plan on doing that more in the future on other topics?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of the contrast. So obviously, he's only gone off 30 days, and you have a lot to talk about. One of those is the idea that we are in this giant bill for COVID relief that is still a mess, and is teetering on the edge of not getting any relief to the American people because it's so partisan. And as President Biden's own chief of staff said, it's the most progressive bill in history. Not a good way to get even moderate Republican support to call something the most progressive in history. So yeah, you start making the contrast now. That will help Republicans in the House races in 2022 and the Senate races in 2022. And then I think ultimately the president's going to decide, is he the right person to carry on the mantle? That message, though, is certainly the message. That's what we saw coming out of CPAC. Whether he decides to carry it or someone else does, that is the winning message. That's how we get to being competitive against the Democrats. And we've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I mean, I was told that the approval rating for President Trump this year was higher than the election year approval rating. So does that tell you, in terms of the America First agenda, other candidates from outside of CPAC, they need to, bear that in mind as they are launching their campaigns?
And I think you're seeing that from even the people, and I'm good friends with a lot of them. Some work with us at the ACLJ, like Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who could be a contender if President Trump doesn't run. And certainly, I mean, if you listen to his speech, which was a great speech, he outlined America first on the foreign policy stage. What did that mean? What were the accomplishments? I think they get it. They understand. So if President Trump decides to pass that mantle on, you're going to see the people I think who rise to the top will be people who are who is the best to carry that message to the American people. It might be President Trump. He certainly has the numbers if he wants to do it again. And if he decides not to, I think that's who is going to rise to the top. I don't think someone, and Mitt Romney kind of admitted it, his wing of whatever the establishment party that's left is too small to make any kind of influence. And for us, the outsiders of Washington, D.C., that's a good thing. Regardless if you're a Republican, a Democrat, somewhere in between, but you like that independence of America first, that's a good thing that old school Republican Party does not appear to be coming back anytime soon.
We've got about half a minute. I was curious what other people caused a buzz there at CPAC, and that might be people that if the president chooses not to run might get some attention, or as a running mate.
So I think Mike Pompeo, obviously, that was kind of his first speech, as he said, where he was unleashed. He wasn't just the nation's top diplomat, so he could really talk directly to people. You've got, obviously, Ron DeSantis. It was in his home state, one of the youngest governor in the history of our country, and he's done a great job taking a huge state through a crisis, a state that's so dependent on people come, that tourism and things like that. It's actually grown under COVID, and his excellent leadership. And then I think you look, there's the South Dakota governor, Kristi Noem, obviously very popular with her COVID. So I think all of those are potential presidential or vice presidential. And then, you're still going to have some of the Ted Cruz's, the Marco Rubio names pop up that have done it before, have put the infrastructure in. But we will see. I think you're going to see one of those people who was very close to Trump, if it is not Trump himself.
All right. Well, Jordan Sekulow, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Bob.